Morning, Trainiacs. I get asked a heck of a lot, what is the trainer that I use? Historically, for the last year, it has been either the Wahoo Kickr or the Cyclops H2. This is the Saris H3. So there's been a name change from Cyclops to Saris and a price drop. Now, the question is this new third generation of the Saris Cyclops Hammer model one of the best direct drive, quietest, high-end trainers, even though it's become a little bit less expensive? Well, I'm gonna take it for the first ride, do a little bit of review, a little bit of a noise test, and compare it to this Wahoo Kickr that historically has been more or less the go-to for everyone in North America. Let's give it a try. Whoa, all right. Just finishing up the last minute of 2 hours, and I'm impressed. As far as bang for your buck goes, comparing this to the previous versions of this trainer and the competitors, like the sort of apples to apples comparisons for this trainer, Saris, you made a bit of a statement with this. Allow me to explain. See that tricep? Totally not flexing. Okay, there. And there. Okay, so the reason that I'm doing this as a comparison is because I think that's a better indication of how good a trainer is. So many of these trainers that are, say, over the $600 mark, they're all getting really good. Even some of the $600 trainers like the Elite series, they're getting really good. They're certainly a serviceable smart trainer that you can do just about everything with. The Wahoo Kickr Core is really good. But if we're looking at like the best experience that you can get, what we're talking about has traditionally been the Tacx Neo 2T is the latest model, and the Wahoo Kickr itself. Now, in that price range used to be the Cyclops Hammer, the Cyclops H2. Now that Cyclops has been rebranded Saris, and now the Saris H3 is that high-end model. And why I think that we need to look at these as a comparison and not just a standalone is because everything's so good, but who buys which of these, or the Tacx or the Wahoo Kickr Core, depends on what you're looking for. So they have to be looked at together. Now, the specs for the Saris H3 are a 2000 watt max, a 20% max grade, $999, that's pretty good, and a 20-pound flywheel. How that compares to the Wahoo Kickr is that this is $1,200. This has a 16-pound flywheel, so potentially not as realistic a road feel. 2200 watt max average and the same max grade. And the Tacx is very, very similar. Slightly higher max power, slightly higher max incline, but the most expensive of all the three. And when you're looking at the Saris H3, it looks basically identical, same as the Wahoo Kickr. They haven't changed in about 3-4 years, but this has a new belt drive, basically all new internals on the inside, and that is supposed to make it the quietest and one of the cheapest trainers out there as far as quiet, almost silent trainers go. What's also nice about this is that your speed, your cadence, your power can all come through this. So if you're using Zwift off of an Apple TV 4K, which only has 3 Bluetooth inputs, one of which is taken up by the remote, you can get all of your speed, your cadence, everything like this, so you don't have to use the Zwift companion app, which is like, that's a legitimate thing, because using the Zwift companion app to pair with the Wahoo Kickr is a bit of a process. And as you have more and more devices and you've got more things around you in the same room, things start getting paired and unpaired fairly easily. In this case, if you can just set it up to pair to the trainer once, it was really quick. However, it took a little bit of finickiness to actually get this calibrated. What I found is that the calibration in Wahoo, it just wouldn't work. What I had to do was download the Saris app originally, calibrate it in the Saris app, then unpair it from the Saris app, pair it back to Zwift, and there's just a little bit of finickiness there, but the nice thing about it is that once that's done, this is the only thing that is paired to Zwift. So I don't have to unpair and repair things, as I found that I've kind of had to do with this through the Wahoo companion app. I think I called it the Zwift companion app. The Zwift companion app, as it is the Zwift companion app. Now, one of the things to know, and this is kind of the biggest deciding factor, which I'll get to in a bit, is that this does not pair to the Wahoo Kickr Climb. You can use the Wahoo Kickr Headwind, which in my opinion is a fair bit less exciting than the Wahoo Kickr Climb, which tilts the front of your bike up and down. I really like that personally. I like that tactile feel of when I'm going up inclines or down. In addition to the trainer changing and the Wahoo Headwind changing the speed, having that bit of incline up and down, it's a really nice tactile feel that makes me feel like things are kind of moving and they're dynamic. Whereas this, yes, I would say the road feel on this is every bit as good as this, whereas the original Cyclops hammer, the Cyclops H2, there was a slight lag in what was happening on the screen with the incline, the decline, and the power. In this case, it's almost perfect. I would actually put this as one of the best road feels. I'd actually say the best road feel of any trainer that I've ever had, and I think that that's because of A, the new belt drive system, B, the 20-pound flywheel, whereas this flywheel here is 16 pounds. So the road feel alone of this is great, almost perfect, but you can't use the Kickr Climb. So if you're looking at getting that Kickr Climb, the entire ecosystem of going up and down on inclines and having a headwind in your face, you gotta go with this. There's no way around it. As far as what you get in this, when you're setting it up and taking it out of the box, it's the same as what you've had before. You don't have a cassette included in this as you do with the Wahoo products. So you're either gonna have to go buy an extra cassette for this, or you're gonna have to swap out what's on the rear wheel of your existing wheels. And that could be a problem if you don't have extra wheels and you're kind of like indoor, outdoor, and you have to then go back and forth mounting the cassette. You can't just take your bike off. You've got to take your bike off and then remount the cassette. In that case, this probably isn't for you, because you can just leave the cassette on this. This also comes with a front wheel block to stabilize the front of the wheel, because whereas you can mount the front of the fork into the Kickr Climb with this and you don't need the front wheel on, you can just literally use any old frame and that's all you need. You don't need any wheels. You do need a front wheel on this with the mounting block to keep that front wheel stable. And when you open up the legs, it falls out. I thought that that was always a really nice touch, but that's just where you're at. If you've got a dedicated bike, you probably want something like this. If you need to go back and forth, there's just a little bit more setup with that. One other thing that's notable, I thought that depending on how your setup is, if you need extra slack with your power cable, this comes with probably about 4 to 5 feet more slack than what I've seen typically comes on the power supply for any other trainers. So if you need that extra slack, you got it here, and it can be a little bit cleaner than running extension cords throughout your floor. Now, as far as how does it actually perform, really, really good. As I said, probably some of the best road feel of anything that I've used. It doesn't have that incline, decline that you have on this. It doesn't have the vibrations when you go over cobbles like you've got on the Tacx Neo 2T, But as far as just a road feel, really good. You can also use this as basically a fluid trainer if you don't have access to a power source. So you can bring this to a race or anything like that and just use it by itself. A couple of things that were a little finicky with this, like I said, that bit of pairing at the start. But then the other thing is that as you change gears with this, because the cadence is coming from ratios of speed to gear ratios and power and things like that, as you change gears in this, you might have your RPM dip down to 0, nothing for a few seconds, or 30, 40, 50 for as much as 5 to 10 seconds before it figures out that new pattern and cadence that you're actually spinning in. So that's something to worry about, but as far as the actual experience that you're riding in, doesn't really change at all. And then getting to the sound test of this, I was really impressed. That bike over there has a really, really dirty drivetrain, and even with that, it maxed out at the decibel reading of about 58. This one claims to have a max decibel at 20 miles an hour of 59. Talking is in the low 70s. Kickrs and tacks, they claim to be same sort of thing, high 50s. Basically, the only thing that you're going to hear is the drivetrain, and that depends entirely on how clean your drivetrain is, what gear you're in, how well aligned it is, how creaky or cracky your bike is. If you have a sound, basically silent drivetrain, you're gonna have a silent trainer experience with this. This is the most silent trainer I've ever had in here because this is a 2018 Kickr. Now, who would actually buy this? So number one, it can't be somebody who wants to use a Wahoo Kickr climb. If you want the climb, you have to get a Wahoo Kickr or a Kickr Core 2017, I believe, or newer. You also don't want to be too wrapped up into the Garmin and Tacx ecosystem, which isn't quite as built out as the Wahoo ecosystem, but Tacx is just a different brand. And in my opinion, that's kind of a better comparison. Whereas this, the question is not, is it a good trainer? It's a great trainer. The question is, do you want the climb? And if you want the climb, you got to think about this or the Core. If you don't want the climb, then this starts comparing to things like the Elite series that are around that $600 mark. This has higher max power, higher max grade. So then I would say that this really only compares to the Tacx Neo 2T, in which case this is $500 less expensive. And really all that you're giving up is that not bumpiness when you go over cobbles. I've never experienced that, but I've heard from people that use it and they say that it's kind of a gimmick, that it's not really anything that adds to your experience. So then this really just compares to, I would say, the Wahoo Kickr Core. This is $100 more than that. It does have higher max power, does have a bigger flywheel, does have a higher max simulated grade, probably has a little bit better road feel. I would say probably just a little bit more all around better. Every little thing from the decibel to the noise reading to everything is just a little bit better. However, it's about $100 more plus the cost of a cassette wherever you're getting that from. So I would compare those two really, really closely. And the question comes down to, do you need the Wahoo Kickr Climb? In my case, yeah, I'm probably gonna go back to it. But if you don't want that, I think that this, with the price drop to $999, is probably one of the best buys out there if you start getting into that really high-end premium smart trainer market that is going to do everything you want, be nice and quiet, have a great road feel. I think that that price drop was a statement. So way to go, Saris. Thanks for sending this out. We're in Zwift season right now, so make sure you go follow me. First name is T, last name is Triathlon Taren. Go check it out. Later, Trainiacs.